This is the BBC.
This podcast is supported by advertising outside the UK.
Capital One Saver Card. With Saver, you earn unlimited cashback for going out or staying in. That's unlimited 4% cashback on dining, at a restaurant, or on takeout at home. 4% back on entertainment, from the front row of a game or on popular streaming from your couch. And 3% back at grocery stores, where you'll find everything you need to make the meals that make their day. So earn unlimited cash back with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
The Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Radio Scotland.
So comfortable for Rangers in the end after a frustrating first half, beating Livingston by 2-0. Kemar Roofe and Alfredo Morelos on the score sheet. Also, I think fairly comfortable in the end for St Johnstone at Dens Park. Rory Loy?
Yeah, we thought it would be a long night, but who were we to doubt Callum Davidson, his band of cup experts, through once again. 2-0 and very, very comfortable in the end, as you say there, Kenny. Yeah.
What was the key thing in the second half? Because it was tight in the first half, and you talked about a couple of chances, Rory, that Dundee had passed up. What was the difference in that second half?
For me, probably Callum Davidson was proactive. James McPake was maybe slightly reactive. It wasn't going St Johnstone's way. He gave it 10-15 minutes. It still wasn't going St Johnstone's way. They had a couple of early scares in 46 minutes, for example. Griffiths had a free kick that was well saved, and McMullen should have scored the follow-up. And just after the hour mark, he brought Stevie May on. He changed his formation. He went 3-5-2, and you could see as soon as Stevie May was on, you get further up the pitch. They won a couple of corners, and they ultimately take the lead through Sean Rooney. That in turn provokes James McPake to go and get Sheridan off the bench on the 74th minute and bring him on for McGee. At that point, St Johnstone are experts at managing games. It's very, very difficult at 1-0 down. So for me, the change was, not necessarily the inclusion of Stevie May onto the pitch, but the change in shape and the proactiveness of Callum Davidson. Yeah,
and Sean Rooney, I mean, he's incredible, isn't he? He's such a threat. And he was the cup hero in both cups last season. He just springs up again and again, doesn't he? He does, and they defended really, really well. As much as Dundee had chances, Rooney headed, cleared everything, and anything that dropped to the defenders of St Johnstone, they just got rid of it. They just cleared it, and then when their chances came along, they were ruthless. And Sean Rooney is ruthless in these cup competitions, that's for sure. Talk to us about Ali Crawford. That was a really cool finish from him after great play down the left-hand side. He could turn out to be a really big signing for St Johnstone. He's a guy that's got a lot of experience now. Yeah, he has, a really astute signing, and it's one of these things, Kenny, where cup success goes beyond just lifting the cup. It attracts players to your club, because I'm sure that Ali Crawford would have probably had a few suitors looking to take him on, and coming to St Johnstone and the buzz around the club, the buzz around the city, that attracts players. And he's come in, and to be totally honest, it wasn't the best of balls back from Callum Booth. I thought he possibly should have at the time played it to Stevie May, who was in a better position. He probably gets far too much on the cutback, but as you touch on there, Kenny, a lovely controlled finish from a very experienced and a very technically gifted Ali Crawford. Yeah, you're bang on. Just watching that back now, actually, it certainly wasn't an easy one for him to control. He took it first time, very cool, into the bottom corner. So we'll hear from both managers, Rory, in a few minutes' time, but it's going to be the same old story, isn't it, for James McPake, ruining the missed chances? Yeah, it's really difficult. And, you're talking about, people on your timeline talking about, go two up front. I mean, do you rip up all your hard work throughout pre-season and throughout the first 5 games of the season and go against your principles just because you're struggling to score goals? And on the basis of the first half, I'm probably looking at it going, yeah, I would keep it the same for a spell. But it gets to that 60th minute, maybe then you need to look at changing something. But possibly James McPake needs to look at another strategy to get more people up the pitch who can score goals. Well, that was a comfortable win in the end for St Johnstone. Also comfortable in the end at Ibrox for Rangers' Mark Haitlin. You called it at half-time. You said something needed to change there. You talked about Hadji. He was brought on right at the start of the second half, and within a few minutes he sets up Roofe for the opener. Yeah, he's got that X factor, hasn't he? He's confident, he's comfortable when he's marked. Give me the ball type thing. He doesn't mind making mistakes. It's like water off a duck's back. Give me the ball again. I'll make the same mistake again. But he'll keep being aggressive with the ball, and that wasn't on the list in the first half for me. There wasn't enough high risk passing. It was pretty safe, and hence we went in at sort of half time 0-0. It needed that, that imagination, that cheekiness that he brings to the game. He's got, lightning fast feet, both feet,
it must be really difficult to mark because he can go left or right. And you just stick the ball into him all the time, even when he's marked, when he's got 2 or 3 players, because you know he's going to get something from it. He works something, he releases players around him. And that's how it turned out to be. Good players playing together. Roof passes it out to Hadji. And Hadji, just passes it across the face of the goal, through the defender's legs, right into Roof's space. It was 3 players on the same wavelength. Morelos takes a run for the near post. And then Roof just, comes in and it's an easy tap in from, I'm going to say, 5 yards.
Yeah, and Morelos, 64 minutes, he got the second, he finished the job off, Neil. And the problem is for Davy Martindale, he goes in at half-time, he's probably reasonably happy, albeit they didn't create anything, but he's holding Rangers to a goalless draw at that point. But he knows that right away, Stephen Gerrard's got all the options there to change things. He's got Tavernier on the bench, he's got Davis, he's got Hadji, he's got Arfield. The options are endless at Rangers.
Yeah, he's got huge strength and depth. Obviously, David Martindale would have been delighted. That would have been his game plan, to stay tight, keep it compact, stay in the game for as long as they can, and maybe nick a goal if they could. But Rangers dominated from start to finish. Obviously, Stephen Gerrard will be disappointed they didn't probably score more goals, and with the amount of ball they had and the areas that they got into, they lacked a little bit of quality at times. Could have maybe scored 4 or 5. But listen, it was a professional performance from Rangers. The main thing is getting through to the semi-final. So whatever it takes, 2-0, he'll be happy with that. He'll be delighted with a clean sheet. And these cup competitions, just get through.
Yeah, you've got to feel sorry, Neil, for Stryjek, haven't you? That attempted clearance that fell right at the feet of Morelos, and the one that ultimately killed the game. Yeah,
listen, that's the life of a goalkeeper, unfortunately, and that's what he'll be remembered for. He's maybe had 4 or 5 really good saves, kept the score down, kept Livingston at the game at times, and then he goes and makes a huge mistake that Morelos punishes him for. And that's what will get talked about in the papers tomorrow. Unfortunately, it should be that he's had a fantastic game and made loads of saves, and he'll be disappointed with that. He won't even think about the saves that he's made. He'll be thinking about all tonight about that mistake, and that sealed the victory for Rangers.
Can I just say that all the goals came from mistakes, passing out from the back straight down the middle of the park, cut off. So they're engineers of their own downfall, really, Livingston, on the day. We didn't see that too much against Celtic at the weekend. They played everything. They played a real good game strategy, but tonight it just came undone.
Yeah, and Mark, we're hoping to hear from Davy Martindale in a few minutes' time. We're hoping he'll join us live from Ibrox. But another thing that was different from the weekend was that against Celtic, despite you holding their shape and being out of possession for long spells, they created 3 or 4 really good chances. They just didn't do that tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. They just couldn't get out. Where Shinnie was played higher up, obviously they're playing at home on the plastic pitch, so he's got that ability to knock the ball up. The ball doesn't run away from you like it does here at Ibrox. So the ball stands up for you, and allowed Shinnie a lot more time to get on the ball and cause Celtic defenders trouble, and it relieved the pressure. Got his team up the park, got more corners. I don't think Livy got a corner today in tonight's game, but it is what it is. Shinnie is a really, really good player, but he's playing up against better players, that probably just outthought him on the night and denied him the space. But it was relentless. 61% or something. I think 18 shots, 9 on target. So it was one of those games where you're just going to be run.
Yeah, and something's got to give.
Yes.
Just looking at the game that Rory's been commenting on tonight for us, Neil, I don't know what more we can say about St Johnstone and Callum Davis in these cup competitions. This looked on paper a tricky tie for them. We spoke about the confidence boost they had at Pittodrie at the weekend, but it's not been a great start to the season. They've had the challenges of Europe, losing 2 of their key players. It's been a tough start, but yet they did what they had to do tonight, and they're off to Hampden again.
Yeah, they're just continuing from where they left off at the end of last season in cup competitions. They do seem to be a cup specialist team at the minute, and the squad would have taken fantastic confidence from what they achieved last season. The belief that they can go and do it again will be there. Callum will be instilling that in the players. And, as you say, that was a tough fixture tonight away to Dundee. On at Dundee's pitch, which is always a hard place to go. So they've showed great team spirit. They got a great result on Saturday, which they probably would have wanted to build on, and that's probably given them a little bit of confidence going into tonight's game and probably helped them.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the finish again, Rory, it's just coming through here a few times on the screen. It was a great conversion by Crawford. The ball did not come to him at an easy height. It was coming at him at great pace. St Johnstone now, we'll have the draw tomorrow night. We'll get the other two games tomorrow. Celtic against Wraith Rovers, Dundee United against Hibs. But St Johnstone now, I guess for some clubs of that size, there is the fear factor when you're going against the big teams, especially at the National Stadium. But they absolutely won't have that now.
No, they won't. There'll be absolutely no fear. And quite often when you go to Ibrox and Celtic Park, historically it's that old saying, you're beat before you go on the pitch. It's that kind of whole atmosphere. And Rangers start, Celtic start strongly, even a Hibs, Dundee United, if you're in front of these big crowds when you're away from home. However, one thing I will say is that St Johnstone have proven last year that they can go and do these cup runs and go all the way. So there's going to be absolutely no fear factor whatsoever. They'll be quite happy to face Rangers, Celtic, Dundee United, Hibs. Bring it on at Hampden. They'll be more than confident. I think they beat Hibs 3-0 at Hampden in a semi-final last year, so they will have absolutely no issues whatsoever. And the place was jumping. They were making a great noise, the St Johnstone fans, and quite rightly so. And they've almost come to expect it. They've been that good, which for a club like St Johnstone is unbelievable. And I nearly said Ali McCann there. He's off. Ali Crawford's finish was probably. Technically, it's extremely hard to do that. Cushion it, take the pace out of it, and just stroke it in the corner. Because as we've touched on, Callum Booth's cutback wasn't particularly great. But even looking at St Johnstone's squad, I know they have lost a couple, Kenny, but still being able to bring Ali Crawford and Liam Craig in from a team that won at Pittodries, it just shows that they still have good strength and depth there, and that the players want to be there. And even if they're on the bench, they're quite happy to bide their time because they know they're part of something pretty special.
How did Efe Ambrose do tonight, Rory? I mean, I guess a few eyebrows raised when Callum Davidson brought him in.
Yeah, he was solid. He was solid enough. He had a couple of wobbles where he maybe, Efe Ambrose of old, takes an extra touch or tries to find a pass when it's maybe not on. For me, that's not really the St Johnstone way. You clear your lines, you make no mistakes, and then you take your chances at the other end. So I think when he did do that, he quickly realised, Callum Davidson was quite animated on the touchline. No, Efe, that's not how we play. We get rid of the we get rid of the ball, and we take no chances, and that's how our success is built. And another player I'll touch on, who's had loads of plaudits over the last while, was Xander Clark. I mean, he was phenomenal tonight, and a big part of St Johnstone's success is built on him, and the fact they've managed to keep a hold of him, and they'll be desperate to keep a hold of him because he had another fantastic game tonight.
Glenn Middleton started Mark for St Johnstone tonight. Is he a player, do you think, that would still have a future at Rangers? Do you think he can still prove to Steven Gerrard that he can do a job for that side?
Well, I think games under his belt has got to be a bonus for him, and it's got to be a bonus for Rangers. I think getting game time into the young Middleton, it's all key for kids. I've always, I'm a big advocate of getting first team players, whatever age they are. He is in that category. He brings something really special. He has got some talent. But he's finding difficult to get the game time, as a lot of young players do when they're at the big clubs. But he's getting the game time now, and it's all down to him now. He knows what's expected of him. He knows what he needs to bring if he's going to come back to Rangers. And so, at the end of the day, he's getting game time. He's putting in performances, and that has to be. The best he can do really right now. It's one of those things. Keep playing well. Make sure that your game time is continued, and make sure you're putting in a high level of performances every game, which catches the eye of your home team.
Yeah, they must see something in him, Rory. That they're hanging on to the player. He's been out on loan at Hibs, at Bradford. This is his second spell at St Johnstone. I can't remember who it was against, but I remember the final game before the split last season, and he scored that vital goal that just saw St Johnstone pip St Mirren. Spoke to him after the game, and he spoke very well. Seems a really decent, grounded young lad. So, I mean, how did he do tonight? Do you think he can kick on?
I think he can. He's technically, again, another player that Callum Davidson's got has got available to him that's very, very good. He was in and out the game tonight. He was extremely frustrated to come off. You could see he was, borderline, showing that emotion, that body language, really disappointed. The first 60 minutes of the game for St Johnstone was really scrappy. They didn't do much, and Glenn Middleton kind of played on the periphery. Couldn't really get involved in the game. But St Johnstone just strike me as a side where their attacking players on the bench, potentially on the last kind of 30 minutes, as they start to open up to try and get their goal, maybe get more joy, maybe get more of the ball higher up the pitch. And Glenn Middleton tonight struck me as the one who had to do the dirty side of the game, keep it at 0-0, and then they can grow into the game when they start to make their substitutes. But he scored a cracking free kick in the semi-final last year as well, and he's got a lot about him. And when he goes back to the likes of Rangers who have more of the ball, who are in the game earlier on in the game, he gets more of a chance to go and express himself. But he did a job for the team tonight, is what I would say, and you need to do that side of things as well. And he did show flashes. However, he was probably outshone a little bit by Wotherspoon on the other side, who had a great game.
Gary McAllister, speaking to Premier Sports, Neil said delighted with the result, job done, huffed and puffed in the first half, made a change at half time, and it paid dividends. Yanis brought that, he looked sharp and brought that bit of quality we needed. All in all, we're delighted to be in the semi-final. That's what it's all about, of course. I mean, Yanis Hadji, what do you make of him? I know he's a few problems with injury, but Mark touched on it earlier. The talent he's got is incredible.
Yeah, he's an exciting player. Whenever he gets the ball, you can see the fans standing up waiting for him to do something. He injects a bit of energy, into the game, creates chances for others around him. He can open up games by himself. And the game was crying out for that. I thought, obviously, the Rangers dominated the first half and they created lots of chances, but they were just missing that little bit of spark. And straight away, as soon as the second half started, Hadji got involved early on and they got the goal, and just Rangers just settled down straight after that, and then they kept getting the ball at Hadji and he kept making things happen. He was a big influence in the Rangers in the second half. And as you say, it's a cup competition. The main aim is to get through to the next round. Yeah, they would have loved to have scored 3 or 4 goals, but they would take 2-0 all day long, and a clean sheet and through to the next round.
Neil, in terms of the league campaign, it's been a fascinating start to the season. I've been at a few games, and I have to say they've been terrific. There's been a lot of excitement at some of these matches, and there's definitely an unpredictability about the games this season. The top flight looks more competitive with, Hearts obviously back up there. I mean, do you still make Rangers, they're top of the league? We've spoken about their inconsistent start. Would you still make Rangers strong favourites for the title?
Yes. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, obviously they managed to keep a hold of all their players. They've added 1 or 2, obviously got boys signed on longer contracts, which is great, which is almost as good as a new signing. They're just not clicked into gear. Strikers aren't looking as though they're as confident as they were last season. But it'll come. Nights like tonight when you get plenty of chances, yeah, you're getting into the right positions. Obviously not taking the chances, but it's positive for strikers to make them runs, to get opportunities, and Rangers will click into gear. Obviously the standard that they set last season was exceptionally high, and the demands that Steven Gerrard's putting on them, maybe they've just not. They've been a wee bit slow at the blocks, but they're still top of the league. They're now in a semi-final of one of the domestic cups, so and as you said, and I've just said, they've not even hit top gear yet, so there's still a lot more to come. Get a few more players back from injury and things like that, so I don't think Steven Gerrard will be too concerned right now.
Yeah, the strength of the squad I think is key here, Mark, because you're looking at the Celtic bench, for example, in Europe last midweek, looking at it against Livingston on Sunday. I know he's got players out, Kyogo's out, Forrest is out at the moment, but even just looking at that bench on Sunday, it was just really young Mikey Johnson who's coming back from injury that they would have as a potential game changer. But you look at that bench tonight for Rangers, very, very strong. Yeah,
absolutely, and that's what the teams with the big squads, they go all the way, and they're expected to go all the way. As I say, the bench could have been in the starting 11 today easily. So that's what Stephen has wanted, for a number of years. He wanted key positions, which is every position really on a football pitch. 2 goalkeepers, if not 3 goalkeepers, left backs, right backs, centre forwards, all of the same sort of quality, if not better. So you're actually bringing and making the team even better from the bench. You see it at international level, you see it at club level, and as Graham just said, the longer the season goes on, the weaker other teams become, because they haven't got big squads, and it puts a more pressure on them. Where Rangers and Celtic, well, more so Rangers because of the players that they've kept through the summer and added to, can just dip in and can be picking and choosing, should we say, for different sort of environments.
Would you go along with that, Rory? I mean, at times, I've been at Celtic Park, when Kyogo was in full flight, absolutely outstanding, brought the crowd to life. Everyone just seemed to get a lift from him. He's out of the side, obviously, at the moment for a few more weeks as well. Would you go along with the guys there that right now, Rangers are very, very strong favourites for this title?
Yeah, I would say so. Over the course and distance, I think they will have enough. I covered the Dundee game at Celtic Park, and Celtic were phenomenal, really, really good to watch. And you could see, the early signs of Ange Postecoglou's thinking. It's just maybe away from home. He needs to be a little bit more pragmatic in his approach to try and get results, because ultimately they need to try and stay as close to Rangers as they can. I think an honorary mention as well for Hibs and Hearts, who have started the season fantastically well. But I just think over the course and distance, as I said, I don't know if they'll be able to maintain that form. So I think it's important for Celtic to stay as close as they can to Rangers, to apply pressure on them. I think if you look at the last 3 seasons around Christmas time, when that gap started to come in, kind of Rangers fell away from it, Celtic ran away with it, and last season there was no real pressure on Rangers at all. So how do they react under pressure? And I think if it can get to Christmas time and Celtic can stay in touch, then that's a start. And I think that Celtic would be happy with that come January, and they get another transfer window at it. They need to be close enough to Rangers that they've not ran away with it, and they need to turn this away form around very, very quickly. But I would definitely go along with the guys to say that over the course and distance, Rangers are probably favourites for the title.
Well, lots to be positive about in the early stages of the domestic league season. Some absolutely terrific games, some shock results, lots of goals. Also a very positive experience this evening for St Johnstone and their manager Callum Davidson. He spoke with our reporter Brian McLaughlin.
Callum, another League Cup semi-final to look forward to, but what did you make of that 90 minutes first of all?
Yeah, first of all I thought it was a really tough game. I thought Dundee had a goal and we had a wee of a go as well. Probably left a few gaps in the first half, both sides. They probably had the slightly better chances. Second half, once we scored, I thought we settled down a little bit, and I asked the players to be brave and pass the ball and move it. The pitch was fantastic. We've got good football players in the team, and for me it was great to see like Ali Crawford getting the score sheet. That's why I brought him in, for that attacking side. We've lost some players in the team, but Ali gives us another dimension.
He's certainly quality, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got a lot of quality about him. I think for me, he's just getting up to speed. Make sure I don't flog him too much. He hasn't played many games since last May, so for me it was great. I was actually about to take him off, and he managed to score obviously second, so pretty delighted with the decision there.
An injury to James Brown meant you had to tweak things a little bit and pull back Sean Rooney into the back three, but who comes up with the winner again but Sean Rooney? It's remarkable.
Yeah, I think it's a terrible corner by Liam. But again, Chris Kane does really well at front post. He makes it awkward, and I think just Sean, he just seems to turn up and he seems to score his goals at the right moment, and hopefully that can continue.
I'm not quite sure he caught it perfectly, because it seemed to it came off the studs, went through the legs of a couple of players, over the leg of the goalkeeper, and trundled over the line.
Don't really mind. It's one of those whatever way it goes in. Probably first half, probably for me, lacked that little bit of spark in front of goal, and to get off a set play, sometimes you need that little bit of luck, and we managed to get it tonight.
There's a lot of people watching St Johnstone, given the exploits of last season, obviously. But the fact that you'd gone so long without winning a game, was that starting to weigh on the shoulders a little bit?
Not really, no, because performances were probably really good. I think you have to take into account European games. You look at the top teams, they struggle, so they struggle when they play Thursday, Sunday. For a team like St Johnstone to then keep replicating performances, if you asked me to get a draw in Galatasaray and draw in Lask, then I'd say no chance. So I wasn't worried. Have a belief in them. We're now back into the sort of Scottish fixtures, Scottish schedule, and the players know what to demand of them. It's up to them now to perform.
And you lost a few players, as you say, but the team spirit in that dressing room, you could see it in the players coming off. And what about the support tonight as well? Yeah,
really, I did say beforehand we want to get the Hampden because of them. They missed it last season. Hopefully they were given a wee day out to the National Stadium, which is amazing. They were fantastic. They're always great when you play against Dundee. They're terrific support and basically kept us going. And big thanks to them, and hopefully we can try and get a result when we get to Hampden in a couple of months.
Can you make it 3 in a row when you go to Easter Road on Sunday?
We'll be aiming for that, I think so. It's one of those that the lads' confidence is high. There's players in there that want to play on Sunday. So I'm going to have a look at everybody, assess everybody where they are. Hibs have a tough game tomorrow night, so we'll get everybody fresh and get them ready.
Yeah, Callum Davidson there, Rory. Another tough game for them at the weekend, as Brian said. And that's the next challenge, isn't it, for St Johnstone to get into that top six? And that's going to be really, really tough this season. Just look at the moment, Rangers top, then Hibs, Hearts, Motherwell doing really well. Dundee United, great start for them. They're in fifth. Celtic in sixth. You go into the bottom half, Aberdeen and St Johnstone in there. So even just to get into that top six this season is going to be some achievement.
Yeah, it will be, but they're masters of the slow start and then picking up as they get into the latter stage of the season to get that top six. So they'll have a right crack at it again, and there's anybody would be wrong to doubt St Johnstone even this early in the season with a relatively poor start. So they've every chance of breaking into that top six again. I'm not quite sure I would go along with Callum that they had a go. I would say it was around the 60th minute before St Johnstone had a real say in the game, and once they made that substitution, I thought they managed the game pretty well up until that point, and once they got in front they managed it really well, but I think Dundee were much the more dangerous team up until around the hour mark.
Just looking at the final score lines from the League Cup down in England, so Brighton 2, Swansea 0, Arsenal 3, Wimbledon 0. After penalties, Chelsea beat Aston Villa. That one finished 1-1 in normal time. Manchester United 0, West Ham United 1. So a great return there for Davy Moyes. They were on the receiving end. They missed, of course, that last-minute penalty against Man United in the league, trying to get a draw at the weekend, so they are through to the next round of the League Cup in England. It finished Millwall 0, Leicester City 2, and again, after penalties, Spurs have edged out Wolves there. It finished 2-2 after normal time down there in England. So 2 games tomorrow night, Neil. We'll be covering them right here on Sportsound. Celtic against Wraith Rovers, Dundee United against Hibs. Your thoughts on these 2 matches?
I fancy Celtic to win at home quite comfortably. Obviously, I think after the weekend result they'll be wanting to prove a point. I'm sure the manager will have them fired up for that, so I really do feel strongly that Celtic will win that quite comfortably. The Dundee United Hibs game is going to be a cracker. Both teams that are on good form, who have started the season very well, and will both come the end of the campaign like to think they'll be in the top 6, so it could go either way. Maybe Dundee United have the home advantage, but Hibs will go there and fancy themselves to turn over Dundee United and get to another semi-final. So, it'll be very, very interesting on the night, and whatever team turns up on the day and can get control of the game and take their chances, we'll get to the semi-final.
Will you go along with that, Mark? I know you were at the game, Dundee United Rangers, weren't you, when
yes.
they did that great result? Thomas Courts, he's done really, really well. They're into the top 6, they're going well. But Hibs, they've not really lost any of their big players from last season, and they've added to that squad. It's a real interesting match, this one.
Yeah, I mean, it set the bar very, very high, Dundee United, with that result against Rangers. So if they can keep maintaining that standard, and as I said, we've just talked about it, squad depth and all that sort of stuff, injuries and suspensions and when all that sort of kicks in. But I'm going to say that this is a real tight game, and cup games can be won by anybody. It's whoever takes the game by the old adages that gets the game by the scruff of the neck and wants to win the game. It's for me, I fancy Hibs. I think Hibs are a real good football inside away from home as well, and they've got players that can exploit you. Celtic, I think, will be a comfortable ride at Parkhead.
Would you go along with that, Rory? Perhaps an easy win, the guys are saying. A comfortable win for Celtic against Wraith Rovers, but perhaps a long night at Tannadice?
Yeah, quite possibly. I think they're 2 evenly matched teams, as the guys have touched on. I think Jack Ross will be desperate to put right the wrongs of last season in the 2 semi-finals. Not to make it to one final was really disappointing for them. So I think that Hibs might just have enough, with their little bit of cup experience from last year. Across in Glasgow, I've seen a lot of Wraith Rovers this season. They play some nice stuff. They've got a very, very special player in Dario Zanata, and if they can get any sort of joy whatsoever, there's a chance he could maybe do something for Wraith Rovers, but you have to agree with the guys, and Celtic look overwhelming favourites.
Yeah, they must have reasonable strength up front, Wraith Rovers. Rory, I saw today that James Keatings has gone out on loan to Montrose. He must have a decent squad there, albeit a huge challenge tomorrow night for John McGlynn, but they're part of a decent fight.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine so. John McGlynn's sides often do. And they've got the lad Ethan Varian up front who he can put himself about and he can hold the ball up. And as I said, Dario Zanata coming in off the left-hand side, he does things which are pretty special at times. So they'll be looking to get him in the game. But the problem is, you work on these things during the week. You do your shape on a Friday, and you generally do these things higher up the pitch. But in reality, at these places like Parkhead, you end up 40 yards further back the pitch, and it's very difficult to be creative and keep the ball under that sort of pressure in your own half. It's just whether Raith can, the old cliche, can you stay in the game for half an hour? Can you get a few murmurs out the crowd? Can you get them frustrated? Dundee haven't managed to do it, and St Mirren certainly didn't manage to do it either. So John McGlynn will be looking at that going, right, how do we set up and things? But look, I think it could potentially be a long night for Raith Rovers, but as the guys have touched on, I think that over the course of the 90 minutes, Celtic will probably win by a good few.
What are your thoughts, Neil, on the job so far being done by Ange Postecoglou at Celtic? Obviously, a lot of work, a lot of changes had to be made at that club. He's not been able to bring in his own backroom team. The players he brought in towards the end of the window, they weren't able to get the players in before their European campaign kicked off. Kyogo undoubtedly has been a fantastic signing. He's such a wonderful player to watch. I was just looking at some of Ange Postecoglou today. I think he was obviously feeling the heat on Sunday. He said, look, I think the fans understand what we're trying to do here. This is a club in transition, but as yourself and Mark and Rory know as well as anybody, you don't get a lot of time at the whole firm.
No, you certainly do not. Listen, it's a tough job for him. He needs to come and hit the ground running quickly. And after his 6-0 wins at home not that long ago, you're thinking they've turned a corner. They're starting to buy into what he's wanting to do, and they're going to kick on from here. Obviously, the Old Firm defeat was a massive blow for them, but and obviously they've lost Furuhashi, and I think they've been relying on him a lot. He scored 7 goals in 8 games, which is a fantastic start for him. Listen, they've lost key players. Their front boy Edward, Christie, Griffiths, Aya. They're all match winners. They're all influential characters in the dressing room, and they're all gone. As well as Scott Brown as well, who led them, and he would pull them through some tough games. They've had injuries as well to key players, McGregor, Kygo and Forrest as well. So, you're missing a lot of good players, and it's going to be tough for him. And, we spoke about it earlier about the subs that he had to his disposal on Sunday. He doesn't have that strength and depth when he's got all them injuries, and when the players that he's lost, and he's maybe not added the players that he would have liked to have added to the squad. So, up until January, it's going to be tough for him. He'll be thinking, let's get through to January, let's get some players in, let's add to the squad and have a right good go. But he might not have that time to get to January. He needs to hit the ground running. He needs to get the away form sorted out. 6 losses out of 7 away from home in all competitions, 4 defeats in 5 games. Now, that's not great for a Celtic manager, but I do think the Celtic fans are going to give him time. Stephen Gerrard, was given time by, the Rangers fans, the Rangers board. He's had 3 years. They need to give the Celtic manager time. They've got to understand that it does take time to build his own team, and they will get success if they do that. It just takes time. You can't change a massive club like Celtic overnight. It is going to take time, and he does seem to be. He comes across as a really good guy, and I think the players that he has signed, really want to be there and play for him. So I think he will turn it round. But, by the time it does happen, it might be too late.
Yeah, it's a good point, Neil, because there's no doubt, being at a few of the games, the fans are really buying into what he's trying to do there. He's had some fantastic receptions from them, but it's not gone well, certainly away from home, losing their first 3 away from home in the league. So Celtic against Raith Rovers tomorrow night. We've got your thoughts already on Dundee United against Hibs. A tight game. Mark thinking Hibs may just edge at a lot of quality, certainly up front for Jack Ross's side. Lots of quality on show at Dens Park this evening. It's the cup holders, St Johnstone, who are through, much to the disappointment, of course, of the Dundee manager James McPake. He's been speaking with Brian.
James, that must have been a sore one to take, given the chances you had in the game tonight.
Yeah, it seems like a broken record, Brian. Every interview I seem to be doing me at the minute seems to be the same. It's not just chances, it's clear-cut chances we're making and not taking, and it's a problem at the minute, because we're up a level, we know that, and we're playing against better teams, and you get that first goal, and then I believe we had 2 clear-cut chances in the first half One's a good save for Xander for Cammy Care's header, which you can't really complain. Cammy's made good contact, it's a good save. He's a good goalkeeper, but the one that goes across the 6-yard box that we don't make contact with, and then Jordan McGee's, it's a gilt-edged chance, it's got to be a goal. And those are the, not the tiny details, those are the big things that make the difference of you getting through in a cup or getting 3 points in a league game. We have another great chance for Paul McMillan's rebound for Griff's free kick or shot, whatever it was, in the second half.
Free kick to 30 yards, yeah.
Yeah, and Xander parries it, and I don't know if he ends up saving it, but again, for me, that's another gilt-edged chance, and we're not putting them away. And then we get punished for real poor defending, and that just, again, that's the level. Then maybe at the Championship, as I said before, you get more of those chances, but when you're at this level, when you're creating chances like that, you need to take them. The plus side is we're creating them, and I can only say that for so long, because I'm getting bored of saying it, if I'm honest, that we're playing well, we're creating chances, but it's not getting us anywhere. We're not through in the cup, but we're desperate to get to Hampden, and we've still not got our first league win, but everybody keeps telling me we're playing well. But that's fine. I'd rather play terrible and nick a 1-0, or be under the caution, nick a 1-0 for somewhere, because we just need to get that win, get that confidence up in the group. But then you watch them and you say they look confident when they're on the pitch. They're creating chances. They're doing what we ask, but it's just not hitting the net. I can't ask any more in terms of effort or commitment to what we're trying to do, but it's just we need to be more ruthless.
I know you spoke about the step up from the Championship to the Premiership, and yes, the chances are coming, but do you think that is a difference in moving up, and it's taking the players maybe just a little bit more time to get used to it? But having said that, some of them are pretty experienced players.
No, I think where I was going with that one is that probably in the Premiership you don't normally make as many chances, so when you do get gilt-edged chances, you certainly have to take them. But we seem to be making more chances than we were in the Championship at the minute, but we're not taking any of them. So I was kind of getting at that. Normally when you're playing against better teams, no disrespect to the Championship, but you don't make too many gilt-edged chances. But we're making them. We're not putting the ball in the net, and it's frustrating, and the strikers are frustrated. The team's frustrated, and I feel for the defenders as well, because they're doing their job to a point, and then all of a sudden, bang, we lose the first goal, and we seem to, that's it. We stop kind of playing then, and I'm not worried in terms of the chances will start going in, because Lee Griffiths is a proven goal scorer, Jason Cummins is a proven goal scorer, and he'll hopefully be back for Saturday. Killian Sheridan's a proven goal scorer, so they've proved that they can do it. It just, we need one to go in, and I'm sure we'll go on a run. But again, me saying we're playing well, we're creating chances, we're just not taking them, it's not getting us anywhere.
You mentioned Saturday, and it's Rangers who come to Dens on Saturday. What about a different type of game? Because you'd expect Rangers to have a bit more of the ball and be a bit more offensive, so it might be a counter-attacking situation where you score from this week, or you certainly try and score from.
I hope we score, yeah. It's great Rangers are coming here. It's the reason one of the reasons we wanted promoted. We wanted to be playing in big games, like we wanted to be getting to Hampden, and we're bitterly disappointed about that. But that's the beauty sometimes of this league, and getting into the quarter-final of the Cup, and in this league there's always a big game around the corner. So with a full house here against Rangers on Saturday, and yeah, they're a good side, but we're trying to get our first win. We're at home, and if the chances come, then we need to make sure we take them. But I think one thing we can say is they'll not give us as many as most teams, so we need to be even more ruthless, and that's kind of counterproductive what I'm saying, because we've not been ruthless at all really, and we need to sort that out quickly.
Yeah, James McPate there. As he said, we've heard that story from him so many times this season. He's getting very frustrated. They just can't find the back of the net. You feel they'll have to do that at the weekend. It's hard to imagine that Rangers won't be scoring up at Dens Park. We'll have that game for you right here on BBC Radio Scotland. That's it for tonight's programme. Thanks to Mark Haitley, to Neil Alexander and to Rory Loy. Rangers and the cup holder St Johnstone are through to the semi-finals of the League Cup. The draw will be made after the remaining two quarter-finals tomorrow evening. Join us from 7:05 for full coverage right here on BBC Radio Scotland. Good night.
The Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Radio Scotland.
one constant in the world is change. To succeed in business and life, you need to progress with it. Constantly question, adapt to new information, and rethink. Cass Business School has done just that. Changed. Introducing Bayes Business School. For those with the vision and courage to do things differently, the future is yours. Bayes Business School. Always learning.